Best of r/Entitled Parents episode 189. Subscribe for edit videos daily. Entitled Brat at my summer camp. Cast, me EB, Entitled Brat TG, Troop Guide F, my friend A, Witness B, other witness. Story, so I am a Boy Scout. Every summer we go to this camp for a week. It's usually very fun, but 2 years ago it was not that fun. Because of a EB. This EB can be compared to one of those 12-year-old Xbox kids who will tear your eardrums out and scream every known profanity in the English language and then will tell his Karen of a mom to yell at the chat. He's one of those people. So this story takes place over the span of a week. Day 1. We were outside my troop's meeting location getting ready to get in the cars and leave for the camp. We have to bring stuff from the supply shed into the trucks. While all of us were helping out, EB is just sitting there on his phone. Patrol leader tells him to get up and help. He gets up and goes to the shack and takes one single mini box of matches. He's holding them like he's holding the weight of the sky. He puts it on a ice chest and sits back down. We were obviously annoyed by this. Patrol leader tells him to grab more things. EB immediately starts whining about how he's so tired and can barely walk. It was 9:30 in the morning. He shouldn't be tired. While everyone came in early to help out, he came in 15 minutes late. Patrol leader tells him to keep moving. EB tries to complain but patrol leader threatens to get Scoutmaster on him. So this is what EB does. He gets up and walks at a speed of 1 mile per hour and carries the lightest thing he can find. He acts so tired while doing so. So after all the gear was loaded up and we were ready to go, we had to choose whose car we wanted to go on. Almost everyone tried to choose the Scoutmaster's car because he was really nice. Fortunately I got there first and the car only had room for 2 more. Unfortunately EB was one of the lucky ones. It was a 4-hour drive so everyone had to stop at this shopping center for food. We all have been to this center before so we knew all the restaurants. When we got to the restaurants we all got to choose our own restaurants but we had to go with a buddy. Unfortunately for EB no one wanted to be his buddy so we just all left. Before we went to our restaurants, EB tried to get a few people to be his partner by grabbing their arms and pulling. Everyone just yelled at him and went on. No one wanted to go to his restaurant so he had no choice but to tag along with another group. EB just picked a random group and began yelling at them to go to his restaurant. The kids in the group obviously said number. The EB just started having a temper tantrum. The group wasn't having any of it so they just went to the nearest adult leader and told on him. The leader told the EB to follow him. The leader was now his buddy but the leader chose which restaurant. He chose the McDonald's. The EB wanted Panda Express. Ouch. After our meals we do a assembly to count everyone as per protocol. EB is there but making a scene. We get back in the car and he keeps scolding us for not giving him what he wants. Well, we didn't want to deal with him so we just plugged in our earbuds into our phones. The EB tried pulling on the wires but the adults told him to quit. After a few hours of angry loud exhales from the mouth and sarcastic grumbling, we finally get there. The trail to the camp is a hour-long hike downhill so we wait for everyone to arrive. EB seemed to have changed his attention-seeking strategy and instead of complaining and temper tantrums he starts bothering people. He goes around tasering everyone. Tasering is not what you think it is. It's a move where you poke a person on the sides of their belly and it's supposed to really startle you and hurt. We tell him to stop. We are still waiting for a few more cars to arrive. When all the cars arrive and we start hiking, EB plays a dirty trick. In a desperate attempt for attention he pours out his water bottle when no one is looking. If you're a Boy Scout you would know the importance of water on a hike. Especially in the summer. He waits for maybe 10 minutes and starts acting like he hasn't had water in days. He goes around begging for water, acting like he will die without it. He then tries to bother the poor troop guides. Thankfully one of the guides realized that no one could drink a quarter gallon of water in 10 minutes. The guide points that out and EB immediately starts saying that he was really thirsty 10 minutes ago. We catch on to his plan. The troop guide said if he drank that much 10 minutes ago then he shouldn't be thirsty now. Anyway, it's really late, I will update later. Update. So let the story continue. After the guide told him that, EB seemed to realize his fuck up. He had no water for the rest of the hot hike. EB shut up for about half an hour. We still had maybe 20 minutes to go. BTW, I should explain the trail. Campers have to the trail to get to camp while staff gets to use the road so they can drive. So anyway, EB starts looking pained. He starts asking for water again, and to prevent him from actually having a problem, the SPL poured some into his bottle. After refueling, EB then proceeded to start singing. Yes, singing. Loudly. It was hard to hear. He was singing Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. The troop guide told him to either shut up or whisper sing to himself. He chose to loudly whisper sing. After finishing up with his concert, he started asking the people around him if his singing was good. People were brutally honest. EB wasn't very happy. So finally we get down to the camp. First thing we need to do is move all of our gear to the campsite. We unloaded everything from the pickups to the ground. Everyone started moving stuff around, getting all the tanks of propane, all that stuff, while EB is sitting in a shady spot attempting to whittle a stick. Obviously we were annoyed. The patrol leader tells him to go help out. EB then proceeds to do the same technique he did when loading the gear into the trucks. Walk at 1 mile per hour and carry the lightest thing he can find. He kept bringing boxes of waterproof matches over. I realized something. EB was bringing the matches over to the campsite and putting them in his pocket and pretending to pick it up again and bring the matches back over to the camp. Dick move. Only 2 other guys seemed to notice. We decided not to tell. We wanted to see how long he would keep this up. After all the stuff was brought over there, we had to go to our orientation tour. We all walked over to our tour guide. He showed us all the stuff in the camp. The shooting range, the swimming lake, the shop. We were told to bring money to buy stuff from the shop. The shop had ice cream and all sorts of candy and survival equipment. When we raided the shop, EB wanted to buy a few candy bars. Unfortunately for EB, the shop was unmanned at the time but will be manned in a few hours. He tried to get our poor guide to man the shoe just for him. That was obvious number. EB then tried throwing a temper tantrum, but the SPL warned him to stop or he will get the scoutmaster. EB shut up. Now it was time for dinner. The food wasn't cheap stuff. It was decently good. After dinner, all the troops in the mess hall had to assist in cleanup. That meant doing dishes, wiping tables and picking up trash. I'm sure you know what EB does. One of the chores is putting all the chairs up on the tables. EB goes to this one clean table and takes down a chair to sit on while everyone else does their job. Even the other troops are looking at EB. Unfortunately, the adults don't have to clean. They just wait outside for us to finish, so we had no one to report him to. He just sat there doing nothing. Nothing. After a long cleanup, we went to our campsite to set up tents and everything. EB poor tent buddy had to set everything up himself because EB was nowhere to be found. Turns out he ran to the shop to buy candy bars while everyone worked hard. When EB got back, we were all done. The SPL chewed him out and told the assistant scoutmaster. The scoutmaster made the shop off limits to EB for all of tomorrow. EB was having none of it. He kept fake crying about how he felt dizzy and was really hungry and how he wanted to share some with his buddy. 2 problems with that. 1. He just had dinner. He went for thirds. 2. It was clear he had no intention sharing as he was chewing of the wrappers for all the bars. The assistant scoutmaster said that if he kept complaining, the shop would be off limits permanently. EB shuts up. It was around the evening and it will still be a few hours before bed. So we started up a campfire. If you're a Boy Scout, you know that only adults and fire marshals are allowed to tend to the fire. And you need a fire chip. When the fire marshal started up his fire, EB kept tending to it by aggressively jabbing it with a large stick. The marshal tells him to stop, but since the marshal was only an assistant patrol leader, EB thought the marshal didn't have authority over him and began to say, "You're not my boss," and all that stuff. The SPL on the other hand is a life-ranked 16-year-old, so he can tell EB to stop. EB stops but throws his very red-hot stick into another big pile of sticks. If you're a Boy Scout, you know the whatever touches the fire stays in the fire rule. So EB gets chewed out by the SPL while the assistant senior patrol leaders retrieve the hot stick and tosses it in the fire and pour water on the big pile of sticks. EB goes on with the "I didn't know" crap. He sure as hell should, because I was with him when he went through the fire safety section of his requirements. The rest of the night is peaceful because EB went to go sleep early, but he was just making plans on how to act like a ass tomorrow. Alright, it's officially 4:30 AM where I live, so I have to sleep. I will update tomorrow. Thank you. Next. EM shames me for stepping out of a crowded elevator. Cast, EM. 2 kids, me, random family, RF, and random girl, RG. Background. In Australia, our elevators are limited to 2 people per lift. Unless you are from the same household, then you can catch an elevator by yourself. They are encouraging everyone to use the escalators unless they physically cannot. I have an invisible disability and also have massive anxiety about going down escalators unless they're the ones without stairs. So, I push the button on the lift, it arrives and I hop in along with RG. As the doors are closing, EM and her kids open the door and jump in. I say you're only allowed 2 people per lift. EM, children don't count. Me, yes they do. EM cuts me off and waves to RF, mum, dad, stroller and 3 kids, hop in, there's plenty of room. Me, I'm sorry, but no there is not. RG and I were here first and these signs all say 2 people only. EM, oh my god, it's not that big of a deal. I hop out of the elevator as I say I'm just not comfortable with this. RF offer me sympathetic looks and say no thank you, we will wait for the next lift too. EM, angrily shouting, hence why caps, IT's not that big of a deal. IT's an elevator, just get in. There's only 3 cases in state. She's making a huge deal about nothing and now I feel guilty for being in an elevator. RF walk away shaking their head and she looks at me as I wait for the next one. Well, are you coming? She demands to know. I shake my head and tell her that I'll wait for the next one and she offers a giant sigh and turns to her kids, who have been silent this entire time. Some people just freak out over nothing. I saw her later in a store, snapping at someone for sneezing near her kid. One sneeze. I so desperately wanted to say some people just freak out over nothing, but I sadly am not that courageous, and I had nobody else to say it to, so I would have been saying it to the air. Thank you. Next. Entitled aunt demands that she gets to host my grandpa's funeral after it's over. English is not my first language, so I apologize in advance for any spelling mistakes that I might make throughout the story. This is also my first Reddit post ever, so if I missed anything that people usually add for their stories like disclaimers or things of that nature, please let me know. Everyone that mentioned in this story had been in quarantine and drove to my grandpa's funeral. It was in his home. Don't worry, everyone was taking COVID-19 measures, if that's a concern. My grandpa passed away 3 weeks ago due to an embolism while he was sleeping. We were very close and I loved him very much. For his eulogy, we decided that all of his grandkids, his children, and 2 of his closest friends would contribute to his eulogy. There is a total of 13 grandkids, 2 of his kids and 2 friends that were going to contribute to saying the eulogy at his funeral. It was all very planned out and my grandpa wanted his funeral to be more of a short, happy, life-celebrating thing. We didn't invite many people because that's how he wanted his funeral to be, but of course, entitled aunt, EA, had to show up. Let me say that she never cared for my grandpa in the least. As soon as everyone found out about his passing, we got an overwhelming amount of calls from people we didn't even know. His students, mostly. She never called. But, that's unimportant I suppose. We gave the eulogy, and a lot of us were crying, hugging each other. That wasn't the case with me. I don't like crying in front of people, so I went to cry in the bathroom. Once I got myself together, I went back to where everyone else was, but EA was never in the service, only to be stopped by, you guessed it, entitled aunt. I'll be referring to her as EA, and well, I'll be me. EA, oh dear. She hugged me. It startled me. Me, oh hey EA, what are you doing here? She straight up ignored me. EA, oh my poor child. How are you doing? Haha, well I guess that's kind of stupid to ask, isn't it? She laughed, like it was the funniest thing she had ever heard. I just stayed quiet. EA, I am so sorry about your grandpa. We used to get along so well. He rested. Lies. I really don't like when people say rested. I like transcending because my grandpa didn't rest. He wasn't tired. He was happy. He transcended. Me. Thank you EA. It means a lot. EA, don't worry about it dear. I smiled, but I just wanted to leave. EA, anyways, Is the service done? I was on a very important business call. Afraid I may have missed it. She giggled. So funny. Me. Not really. A lot of people are still here and I was just heading back to them. EA. Perfect. I still wanted to be there so I could host the ceremony. I spent all night writing it and I'm so sure your grandpa would like it. Me. The ceremony is over. My mom, my uncle, my cousins, my sisters and I hosted it. I'm sorry you didn't get to be there. EA. What are you talking about? I wanted to host the ceremony. Him and I were very close. Me. He just wanted it to be a short service. That was how he pictured it. I'm sorry, but I have to get back there now. Might I add that everyone was just listening in at this point, mostly because my aunt is so problematic that they were just waiting to see when she would set someone off. EA. Oh come on. May I still do my part? Me. That's not really up to me, nor to you. You'd have to talk to my mom. EA. EA. Could you ask her for me? Please my child. She was saying me Nina. Me. I'm sorry EA. But. EA. Oh please. I don't get along with your mom that well. She's dramatic, you know? I was getting really pissed. I was on the verge of crying again. Me. That's none of my business. She will probably say no, mostly because you showed up without letting anyone know. EA. That's because I know your grandpa would have loved for me to give his whole ceremony and not all of you. He adored me and he adored everything I did for him. Me. You were never even here EA. You just showed up out of nowhere. Always. I have to go now. Ask my mom, but please stop bothering me. She stomped out to go ask my mom, and mumbled the word ungrateful. I just went back to hang out with my cousins. Since she had set me so far off I needed to calm down. When she asked my mom, of course my mom said no. She got really mad and she left and shut the door. Her kids were so ashamed and annoyed that they directly apologized one by one to all of us. She sent an indirect meme about rude and people who lack discretion to the family group chat. We almost kicked her out of it. She divorced my uncle a while ago so there's no reason for her to be there. When she left we all stood there in disbelief. I'll try to ask my mom for the whole conversation she had with her, but that will be later on. I don't want to bother her with that since she's coping now. If she does tell me what happened, I'll post it in an update. EA has always done things like this in the past, so it was really no surprise that she would pull something like this during such a sensitive time. Thank you for reading. Miss you Gramps. TL. Doctor. Entitled Aunt strongly believes she gets to host my grandpa's funeral. Thank you. Next. A brief encounter with a Karen at the IKEA restaurant. So, today, my husband took me shopping at IKEA for some random items we needed but were unable to get due to previous public gatherings restrictions. We decided to make a day out of it and grab lunch at the IKEA restaurant. While we're at it. Now, for clarification, due to COVID-19, there's certain rules and procedures to be followed in IKEA, meaning that now, you stand in queue, first to get your table number, then move forward to order and go take your designated seat, and one of the server wheels your food to you. All fine and dandy. We stand in line to get our table number, though the queue is kind of long and we're considering scrapping this idea and just go eat elsewhere. Right next to the window is a giant menu with items offered in the IKEA restaurant. The usual meatballs, salmon, salads, and the like. In front of us stands a Karen, with a kid in a stroller, which looked to be around 4 years old. Karen stares at the menu and looks over at the restaurant employee handing out table numbers. Karen, do you have any chicken McNuggets? Silence. The employee is staring at her. We're staring at her. God and evolution are arguing in the background about whose fault this brain fart is, given that they are usually not served here at all and the giant picture menu is quite clear on that subject. Not to mention that McNuggets are kind of a different restaurant chain's gig. Employee. No, we don't. I'm sorry, Karen, you don't. What kind of a kid-unfriendly restaurant is this? My child doesn't want to eat anything on your menu. Employee. I'm sorry, madam. The menu you see to your left is all that is offered. Karen huffs, grabs the table number, and moves forward. The employee glances over at us, gives us a table number, and goes, "Oh, pardon me, madam is pregnant. You don't wait. Please, just step here to the side and follow my colleague." He'll take you to the register, so you can order. Karen's head whips around so fast I thought it might fall off. Her face is a picture of shock at unjust treatment. She glares at my 8-month pregnant belly, then at the employee and screeches, "I have a child as well." The employee, now with another one on tow, stares at her blankly and goes, "Yes, but your madam here is pregnant." I can sense him struggling not to say, "Well, you pushed yours out a while ago, didn't you?" As we leave with the other server, I can still hear her in the background, arguing that she has a child and should be given the same treatment as a pregnant woman, while the IKEA employee is still patiently trying to explain to her that it's company policy that disabled people and pregnant women have the right to cut queue, and unless she or her son is disabled, or she herself is pregnant, she can't cut in. 20 minutes later, we're done with our food and we stand up to leave. I spot Karen still in queue, third in line from the register, glaring at us. I resist the urge to wave and just pat my belly happily, then waddle away with my husband. I have no doubts that IKEA is getting a bad review on Yelp or something, due to not serving McNuggets and not letting her entitled self cut in line, even though she played the child card fairly early on. Edited for spelling. Thank you. Next. Teaching entitled students, twins. Hey guys, I'm back with another story from my journey as a teacher. ES1 and 2, entitled students. EM, entitled mom. OP, me. I had a set of twins in my 4th grade music class. I had never had twins in my classes before, so I was generally excited to teach sisters. These students during class were awful. They started the year sitting together and making fun of other students during singing or auditions. They called students gross, pigs, obnoxious, ugly, sound like a cow, basically any form of insult you could think of. If they didn't like the student, they wouldn't participate, and if a student stood up to them or if I intervened, they got super mad and knocked over chairs. I had to send them out multiple times over the course of the year. I quickly learned that together they were awful, but if I separated them, it lowered the level of bully moments or send out moments in the class. So the first day I decided to separate them. OP, ES, I will pick where you sit today. ES1, why? OP, well, because I want our class time to go smoothly. We have a lot to get through today. ES2, what's that mean? We do things fine together. OP, I know that you guys like to do things together, but today we're trying something different. Please sit in the seats I picked out for you today. ES2, mumbling mom isn't gonna be happy. She gonna be mad when she hears this. I just brushed it off as the two of them being mad and grumpy that they had to sit separately. I had never met either of their parents and only had a connection through their homeroom teacher. She would sometimes deliver news for me to them, but that was about it. It's difficult to have parental connects when you teach an entire school's music program. A few days later I happened to be done with work for that day and merrily hopped over to a Target. I needed to grab some items for dinner and generally enjoy the dollar section and a Starbucks drink cause. I mean, who doesn't? As I'm walking through the store, I hear something kinda loud behind me. I turn to look only to find a woman coming straight in my direction with a look of rage. I remember looking in front of me thinking she's going past me, but I realize pretty fast she's coming towards me. So I put the cart between us and back up a bit. Then this woman literally starts yelling at me, in the middle of Target, saying, "Who do you think you are? My kids are not trouble. You better fix it now." I literally stood dumbfounded because I didn't know who this woman was and I didn't know who she was talking about. So I took a moment to try to get her info and get her to stop yelling. OP, I'm sorry, do I know you? EM, you had better get to know me. I'm ES mom. OP, I see. I am not sure what you're upset about, but if you would like to schedule a meeting, we can. EM, I am not scheduling a meeting. We're talking now because my poor girls have been devastated in class and you are going to fix it. OP, devastated? EM, they are sisters and love each other and want to sit together, but you have made that impossible, so now they are heartbroken. She literally said heartbroken, and that's when I knew who she was talking about and who she was. OP, heartbroken? Mom, I did not separate your girls to make them upset. I did it to stop them from upsetting the class. EM, how so? OP, your girls are bullies. They make fun of other students and are rude in class. I sat them apart so they will stop feeding into each other's negativity. Normally, I would be more choosy in my wording and probably more professional, but I am standing in the refried bean section at Target after my normal work hours being accosted by a mom I have never formally met, who is gathering a bit of an audience. EM stares with a shocked face at me. They are not bullies, they just need to sit together. OP, I am sorry you do not like my method for controlling their behavior, but it works better that way. I am late getting home. If you would like to schedule a meeting, feel free to contact the office at the school. I ended up taking my card to cash out and left the store without my needed items because I wanted to get away from EM, who was still there shopping. I have never had an encounter in a public place before that. EM never scheduled a meeting. I am not even sure how she knew me because I had not met her before that encounter. The next few years for the ES were pretty rough. They got suspended a few times for cheating and then also for bullying other students. Their family ended up moving away and they left the district. I believe the new district called for information on the students and their records because apparently they also were having trouble with bullying from them. Thank you. Next. EP tries to get my cousin arrested because he knows the law. So backstory first. Obviously, every summer, my cousin moves to my house to work as a lifeguard. He makes a bunch of cash in that job, so yeah. So with the coronavirus, our president made a bunch of new rules when it applies to beach time. The rule that applies in this story is, if you wanna play games, you can only play by yourself. Any games that involve 2 or more people are not allowed. So this happened yesterday afternoon. By the way, I'm gonna tell the story like this is my cousin writing. So instead of so my cousin did this and that, I'll write I did this and that. Got it? Well, let's get to the story. I was walking on the sand, doing a little patrolling, when I see a dad and his son. They were playing rackets. I have no idea how does this translates to English, so don't blame me. And since the game involved 1 or more people, I had to tell them to stop. Cast, EP, the dad, EK, the son, MC main character aka my cousin, P, policeman. So I walked to them. MC, sir, you need to stop playing rackets. It's against the law. EP, and who are you to tell me what I can and what I can't do? MC, a lifeguard. And you can't play that. It's T. EP, shut up. This isn't Halloween. Stop playing around pretending to be a lifeguard. Now my cousin is a bit short. I'm just 15-17 centimeters shorter than him. However, he's in his mid-20s, so he damn sure has enough age to work there. MC, well, I am a lifeguard, and it's the law. You can't play rackets with your kid. EP, just fuck off. MC, alright, that's it. I'll give you one last chance to stop. If you don't, have luck dealing with the cops. As soon as he heard the word cops, he stopped. He turned to my cousin, looked him right in the eyes, red as a tomato, and began yelling, EP, no you're not. I am an adult while you are a random kid with a fake beard. You have no notion of the law, so you can't order me around like you're my supervisor or something. If you don't fuck off, I'm calling the cops. EK, dad, just shut up. You heard the lifeguard, we can't play. EP, shut the fuck up as well or I'm throwing your PS4 off the window. Then EK stopped talking. EP, now fuck off or I'm calling the cops on you. MC, that's it. Good luck dealing with the police. I dialed 112, our emergency number, and the cops arrived in no time. P, what is the problem here? He turns to me, can you tell me your side of the story? MC, these 2 points at EK and EP were playing rackets. It's against the law playing a game that involves 2 or more people, right? So I went there to tell them to stop. When I did, he sweared at me a lot and called me a kid, said I have no notion of the law and that I am pretending to be a lifeguard. EP, he's lying. He's pretending to be a lifeguard and tried to harass my son. Seriously, why do entitled parents go like he harassed my son or he stole my insert object? P, sir, stop swearing. What the man just said is correct. It is against the law to play a game with 2 or more people. EP, you shut up. They never said that in the newspaper. So IT's bullshit. Bullshit, I say. P, I am pretty sure that the police have a way better knowledge of the law than the newspaper editors. EP, shut up. You're faking as well. Then he tries to snatch the policeman's badge. He succeeds and throws it to the sea. Alright. That's it. It's clear that MC is the one telling the truth. You're coming with me. Then bam. He got charged with I think disturbance of the peace, lying to an officer, verbal assault, and I think he was arrested for another reason. I don't know what else. I think that's all to the story, because that's everything my cousin told my family. So yeah, that's the end of the story. Edit 1. I love how at least 30 people so far have tried to guess my country, but all of them failed. Sad, no one cares about the small but great country I live in. Update. Someone finally got it right. Edit 2. Rackets is literally just you, a random person, a racket in your hands and a ball. Edit 3. It doesn't matter if the two people or more are related or not. Even if they are family they can't play, just to make it clear. Thank you. Next. EPs try to break into my car, then lie to a cop. Sorry if this is bad formatting, I'm on mobile. Bit of backstory, I'm in my mid-20s, and ever since I was a kid I've loved cars. So I saved up and I had money to buy myself a nice car, a Dodge Challenger Hellcat Red Eye, and I've done work to it to make it look good. So anyway, onto the story. My girlfriend and I were on a drive down the west coast, and the car was running low on gas, so I stopped off, refueled the car, and we had a break at a rest stop by the beach. These two little kids, must have been around 7, 8 and 10, 11, ran up to my car all excited and started looking around the outside of it. The parents were standing a little bit back smiling at them. I'm fine with people looking around my car. It gets a lot of attention, seeing as it's purple and has a wide body kit. But what annoyed me was when they started putting their hands all over it, pushing on the bodywork and even trying to open the doors. I stand up and start heading over to them and say, "Hey guys, how you two doing? Do you mind being a little bit more careful with my car?" They apologized, said it was cool, and they were telling me about their favorite cars. We had a little chat. They were alright. I asked them if they wanted to hear it and they seemed really excited about it, so I got in and started it up. It's pretty loud. They love it. Then they go to their parents and drag them over here. The kids had been holding ice creams earlier but had given them to the parents when they ran over to the car. They had a bit more around this time and their hands had ice cream stains on. My car has a cream interior, so I obviously don't want chocolate ice cream stains everywhere. So when the parents asked me if the kids can sit in it, I said, "Really sorry, but my girlfriend and I are about to head inside to get something to drink then head off, and I don't really want people in my car while I'm not there." Entitled Dad, "You sure? We can watch them." Entitled Mom, "Yeah, it's just a car. What could go wrong?" I'm a little bit annoyed at this, but I apologize and head into the cafe with my girlfriend and we order smoothies. I look out the window and see the parents tugging at the door handles and trying to put something in the door locks. I ran outside and asked them what the fuck they thought they were doing, and they said, "ED, just let my kids sit in your car. They got good grades in their spelling tests. They deserve it. Why do you care anyways? Your car's a piece of shit." This is where I get pissed off. Tell them to fuck off or I'm calling them cops. They laughed and the mom said, "Oh, go ahead sweetie. They won't care." So I call them. A cop pulls up as my girlfriend brings out the smoothies. Cop, "Okay, so what's wrong again?" Me, "These two were just Thank God you're here, officer. We caught this man trying to steal this car here." My kids confronted him and he ran inside. ED, "Worst of all, he's trying to claim he's innocent." Cop, "Okay then, if you could just come with me to my cruiser and we'll decide what happens next." Me, "What? This is my car. My girlfriend and I have just driven all the way from my hometown, and we're heading to San Francisco for the weekend." Cop, "Well, if you have any proof." Me, "Yeah, in fact I do. We've been taking photos the entire time. The car is even in some of them and." Girlfriend, "Here, got a video of these two," gestures at EPs, "trying to break into it." Cop, turning to girlfriend, "This true?" Girlfriend, "Yes sir," and shows him the video. The cop apologizes to us, turns to the EPs who are looking indignant and are spluttering, and tells them to leave immediately or get in his cruiser. They grab their kids, go back to their minivan and drive off. When they passes, the dad rolls his window down and starts cussing at us. Cop, again, very sorry about that. Any reason as to why they were trying to break in? Me, I didn't let their kid sit in it with ice cream covered hands. The cop laughs and rolls his eyes, then gets in his cruiser and drives off. TL. Dr. Entitled couple try and break into my car after I told them no, then lie to a cop and are told to leave. Don't know what happened to that family afterwards. My girlfriend and I left and ended up having a great weekend. Edit. I can see a couple of you don't believe I own this car. Keep it to yourself and don't be toxic. I'm running on about 3 hours sleep and can't be bothered to reply to ignorant people.